If you've been watching gardening content for any length of time, you've probably heard mulch mentioned in almost every discussion about soil health and garden success. But what makes organic mulching so transformative, and how do you actually do it right? In this guide, we're going to walk through everything you need to know about using organic mulch to create the kind of living soil foundation that supports vigorous plant growth without constant intervention. Organic mulching is the practice of covering your soil with natural materials that were once living. Wood chips, leaves, straw, grass clippings, and compost all fall into this category. Unlike plastic or landscape fabric, organic mulch breaks down over time, feeding your soil biology and continuously improving the soil structure beneath it. This decomposition process is where the real magic happens. As these materials break down, they create humus, feed microorganisms, and release nutrients that become available to your plants through a complex web of biological activity. Research from universities including Oregon State and UC Davis has documented that organic mulch reduces surface evaporation by up to 70% in the first few inches of soil, meaning you'll water less frequently while your plants actually have more consistent access to moisture. The material also moderates soil temperature fluctuations, keeping things cooler during hot summers and warmer during spring and fall transitions. For those of us managing living soil systems, this temperature moderation becomes particularly important because soil biology thrives within specific temperature ranges. The timing of your mulching application significantly impacts its effectiveness. Early to mid-spring, once your soil has warmed to around 55 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, represents the ideal window in most climates. This timing allows your soil to warm naturally while still capturing the moisture benefits of mulch during the growing season. If you apply mulch too early over very cold soil, you'll actually slow the warming process that early season plants depend on for germination and root development. When you're ready to apply your mulch, aim for a depth between 2 and 3 inches, what I call the Goldilocks zone. This thickness proves consistently effective in research studies for both moisture retention and weed suppression. If you go thinner, at around 1 inch or less, weed seeds still receive enough light penetration to germinate, and the moisture retention benefits diminish substantially. If you exceed 4 inches, you're creating an environment where moisture can actually become trapped, potentially promoting fungal issues and making it difficult for air to reach your soil surface. Think of mulch depth in practical terms. You want it thick enough to create a barrier that suppresses light and retains water, but not so thick that it creates a waterlogged environment or prevents oxygen exchange. Layering your mulch also matters. A 3-inch application, all at once, compacts differently than adding 1.5 inches twice. One of the most common mistakes gardeners make involves piling mulch directly against plant stems, tree trunks, and shrub bases. This practice, which creates the characteristic volcano shape when viewed from above, traps moisture against bark and creates ideal conditions for rot, bark damage, and disease progression. The University of Florida and Cornell University have both documented increased fungal and insect problems in trees mulched in this manner. Maintaining a 1 to 2 inch gap between your mulch and the base of any plant gives you multiple benefits. This space allows air circulation around the stem, prevents moisture from settling against vulnerable bark tissue, and actually makes it easier to inspect your plants for pest or disease problems early on. This simple adjustment costs nothing and prevents expensive problems down the line. Before you spread a single piece of mulch, take time to prepare your soil bed properly. Remove existing weeds by hand or carefully scrape them away. Don't just mulch over a weedy bed, as perennial weeds will simply push through the organic matter. Water your soil thoroughly before applying mulch. Moist soil beneath mulch maintains better microbial activity and allows decomposition processes to begin immediately, whereas dry soil will actually resist moisture penetration when covered. Clear any compacted areas, and consider lightly turning the top inch or two of soil if it's crusted over. You're creating an inviting environment for soil biology, not just covering a problem. Different mulch materials offer distinct advantages depending on your garden's specific needs and plant types. Shredded bark and wood chips represent excellent choices for perennial beds and around established trees. These materials decompose slowly, providing consistent benefits over multiple seasons, typically lasting 2 to 3 years before requiring replenishment. Arborist wood chips, which you can often obtain free from local tree services, contain a mixture of bark and wood that breaks down progressively, steadily feeding your soil ecosystem. Compost and leaf mold serve a different purpose. They're already partially decomposed and work quickly to improve soil structure. These materials break down rapidly, sometimes within a single season, so they're particularly valuable for vegetable gardens where you want consistent nutrient addition. If you have your own leaf pile, you've got a treasure trove of organic mulch material that costs nothing and cycles your own garden's nutrients back into the soil. Straw and hay deserve careful consideration in vegetable gardens where their nitrogen contribution benefits crops like squash and tomatoes. Use agricultural straw rather than hay when possible. Hay contains more viable weed seeds. Apply these materials in thinner layers, around 2 inches, because they mat down and can restrict water penetration if applied too thickly. Grass clippings offer outstanding value for nitrogen content, but they require careful application. Use only clippings from mowed grass that hasn't been treated with herbicides or fertilizers within the previous 2 to 3 weeks. Apply in thin layers, no more than 1 inch at a time, because fresh clippings mat down quickly and create anaerobic conditions that generate odors and slow decomposition. As your organic mulch begins decomposing, you're actually witnessing one of gardening's most valuable processes. Fungi start to colonize the mulch material, extending their networks down into your soil where they form partnerships with plant roots. Bacteria multiply in the improved moisture environment, which increases nutrient cycling. Arthropods like millipedes and isopods get to work fragmenting the material into smaller pieces, and that really accelerates decomposition. All this biological activity transforms what was once just static organic matter into living processes that build soil structure and support plant nutrition. Research from Washington State University demonstrates that soils receiving annual organic mulch applications show measurable improvements in water holding capacity, aggregate stability, and microbial biomass compared to unmulched controls, with benefits accumulating over multiple seasons. Organic mulch isn't a one-time application, it's a renewable system. Once or twice a year, depending on your climate and mulch type, gently rake through your mulch to break up surface crusts that can develop over time. These crusts can actually shed water rather than absorbing it. When the layer thins to 1.5 inches or less, add a fresh top layer to maintain your protective barrier. In fall, many gardeners add a fresh application of mulch before winter dormancy. This timing provides extra insulation for tender perennials and ensures your soil goes into winter with adequate organic matter working its way into the system. Implementing proper organic mulching transforms your garden from something requiring constant inputs into a self-renewing living system. Start with one bed this season if you're new to this practice. Observe how the mulch integrates with your soil and expand from there. You'll notice reduced watering needs, fewer weeds, and increasingly rich, dark soil each subsequent year. We've covered a lot of ground here, and I hope this guide gives you the confidence to implement mulching in your garden with intention and understanding. If this information resonates with you, please subscribe to the Living Soil Garden channel where we explore these living soil principles in depth through video demonstrations and detailed discussions. Share this guide with fellow gardeners in your community. They'll benefit from understanding mulching fundamentals just as much as you have. Your questions and comments about your mulching experiences help us all learn, so drop a comment below and let us know what you're mulching this season and what results you're seeing in your soil.